Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our church service. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you've decided to come to church this morning to celebrate. What a day to celebrate, that tomorrow is the arrival of Christ on earth. So we celebrate what happened 2,000 years ago, and we look forward to Christ's return again. So this morning, my prayer is just that you would experience the love of Christ, that you would experience the presence of Jesus, and that you would experience just the love of all of us, that we would be able to connect together and share together this Christmas season. Just a couple of announcements that I want to bring to your attention. First of all, on New Year's Eve, we'll have church in the morning, and then New Year's Eve, starting at 7 o'clock, we've got a board games night here at the church. So bring your favorite board game, bring your friends and family, or just participate in the ones we've got going on here. Snacks are going to be provided, and it's going to run until just after midnight to celebrate the new year together. Just one other quick announcement, and that is for our Christmas pickle. We've had lots of fun over the last couple of Sundays where kids and maybe adults looking for it and finding it, getting a Tim Hortons gift card. Well, at the info booth this morning, there's an opportunity for everyone to put your name into a draw, and at the end of the service, we'll make a draw for just a lovely little gift basket. All right, well, God bless you. We're going to go to our Advent reading and then to a time of prayer and then our connection time together. She said to her mom that she was going to draw God. She had learned about him in Sunday school, and now she was going to draw him. And her mom replied, no one has ever seen God. They don't really know what he looks like. And the little girl looked at her mom and she said, well, they're about to find out. So we are almost at the high point of the Christmas season. We are on the eve of Christmas. And tomorrow morning, all of our kids and grandkids, and maybe even us as adults, are going to make a mad dash downstairs and we're going to open presents. And we're all going to have meals together with family and friends, and maybe we'll all have different special activities that you do. And the reason we do all of this is because of celebration. The celebration behind all of it is that God demonstrated his love for us. He sent his son Jesus to be born here on earth. The other greatest display of God's love we're going to celebrate in 3 months, his death and resurrection on the cross. So as we grow up, as all of us grow up, we learn about the basics of life. And those basics of life are found in our 5 senses, our sight and hearing and smell and taste and touch. You know all about those. And there are other things that we sense. We sense pain and temperature and hunger, but most of those are related to these 5 basic senses that we learn very early on in life. And we learn that this is how we engage with the world. Babies are always putting stuff in their mouth, right? We're always touching things, and we're finding out textures, and we're finding out surfaces. And we love to taste things, and we love the tastes that become familiar to us. How we cook, the right spices, the right taste, the right texture, especially at Christmas time. This is how we interact with our world. And you realize it when you lose one of these senses. Maybe you have a bad cold and you get all stuffed up and you can't smell properly and you can't taste properly. I had shoulder surgery a few years ago, and so my arm was in a sling for 6 weeks. And it was interesting because when I was finally allowed to move it again, all of a sudden my hand was rediscovering the sense of touch because it hadn't really touched anything for 6 weeks. It was weird. Christmas is a multi-sensory experience, isn't it? We sing songs about chestnuts roasting on an open fire. I don't know what chestnuts roasting on an open fire smells like, but apparently it's very Christmassy. Or we have the smell of hot apple cider brewing. Or maybe a crackling fire is what you look forward to at Christmas time. What about that feeling of cold air on your face? Now, I know we don't really have it yet, but what about that feeling? Or the sound and the sensation of the crunch of snow underneath our feet. How wonderful is it that we hear the sounds of carols being sung? We love to sing them, but we also love to just simply listen to them too, right? We even sing that Christmas song of walking in a winter wonderland. There's something magical about December. It becomes a little more dreary in January and February when the winter wonderland is there. We don't have songs about driving in a winter wonderland. That's not terribly nostalgic. but we engage our world through our five senses. And Christmas becomes meaningful to us when it hits us in our five senses. In fact, everything in life imprints itself on us when it engages us in our senses. So often we read the Christmas story and we think about what we read in the Bible in such a sterile kind of an atmosphere. You know, we read of baby Jesus being born in a stable and placed in a manger, but that gets a little lost on us, right? You know, we read about this company of angels announcing to the shepherds the birth of Jesus, but that visual and that audible spectacle, it becomes a little lost on us. You know, we read about the wise men and how they presented their gifts to Jesus of gold and frankincense and myrrh. You know, very aromatic spices. But these smells and these powerful aromas, you know, they're just a little lost on us. It's hard for us to understand what happened 2,000 years ago because we weren't there. We didn't experience it. You know, all that we can do is read about it and use our imagination. But when we say that Jesus came to earth and became a human being born on a starry night in Bethlehem, what we're saying is that Jesus entered into every part of our existence. We call him Emmanuel. It's a title that's given to him by the prophets of the Old Testament and announced by the angels, Emmanuel, and that means God with us. God with us. God entered into every part of humanity's existence. And so Mary, when she carried Jesus, felt the kick of God in her uterus. And she held the warmth of God as a newborn baby. The God of creation that created all of it entered into the smells of the stable. You know, the God who hears everything heard the sounds of animals. And the creation of God, you know, humans and animals, they heard the sounds of Jesus crying. Jesus felt the touch of human skin, and we felt his skin in return. One poet once said that Mary touched the face of God. When God says that he came to us so that we could come to him, it means that he came into every part of our world. And that's a pretty profound thing to comprehend. You know, we understand and we engage with our world through our five senses. Well, God met us through our five senses so that we could understand him and we could engage with him. He wanted us to know so much about his love that he entered into our world in all the ways that we could possibly understand him. So the Johnson kids read our scripture passage in our Advent reading this morning. And tucked into that passage is one of the most wonderful descriptions that the Bible uses to describe Jesus, that he is the light of the world. It's one of the earliest descriptions of what Jesus' birth means to us. So the writer of it, John, he was one of Jesus' first followers, one of his first disciples, and he uses this sensory experience, light, and he uses it to talk about our greatest need. So he says this, in him, in Jesus, was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Jesus is the light of God. He's not simply shining into a new world. Jesus is the light of God shining into humanity to dispel our darkness. So when I was a kid, my family went hiking with a few other families in Kananaskis country. And it's a short little hike that gets you to what's known as the ice caves. And it's one great big cave, a very deep cavernous cave that has ice in it year-round, even in the heat of summer. And a few dads and a few of us braver kids, we ventured deeper into the cave, far beyond the light of the entrance. And when they knew that it would be completely dark, we all sat down and they turned off the lantern, and one by one we turned off all of the flashlights that we had. And it was dark, like super dark. You know, it was so dark that you felt like your eyes didn't adjust at all. You know, even after several minutes, you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. And you know, that kind of darkness is a little bit disturbing if you've never experienced it. It's eerie. It heightens all of your other senses. It makes you feel very, very uneasy. And so we sat in that darkness until finally we relit the lantern and turned on our flashlights and made our way out. Jesus himself said that he is the light that dispels the greatest darkness in the world, that he is the light of humankind, of mankind, and that he is the light that shines into the darkness of this world and the darkness that's in us that we can never overcome. Because of Jesus, in the end, the darkness doesn't win. You know, all around us, we experience darkness in our lives. Maybe it's through personal loss. Maybe it's through discouragement. Maybe it's through financial difficulties or relational tensions or loneliness or pain of suffering. Maybe you feel it in the world that we live in, with all of its economic uncertainties and anger over injustice and conflicts between nations and government corruption, or even just the sense that our world seems to be lost and out of control. We all have darkness in our lives. The things that are personal to us and the things that swirl around us in our world. I know you do. I do too. So how do we stand up against that darkness? Because at best, we can only manage it. We don't really have a chance to stand against it. We just kind of have to live with it and make the best of it. But Jesus shines into that personal and corporate darkness with a brilliance and intensity that overcomes it and defeats it. You see it in his life. We've seen it in the testimony of his life and the light and God's care and presence that he brought. You see the light in Jesus' death, that it shines the light of God's love for all. You see it in the resurrection of Jesus, that it shines the light of God's eternal hope. And this light is for you, for me, and for you. God didn't bring the light of God into the world just for the Israelites 2,000 years ago. He didn't bring it just for Mary or Joseph. He didn't bring it just for the shepherds, the wise men, or his disciples, or the apostles, or the early church. He brought it for me, and he brought it for you, because he knows the darkness that we walk in. He knows how intense it can be. He knows that we can't handle it on our own. And so he brought in a light that not only gives us hope to handle the darkness, but a light that will ultimately overcome the darkness. Jesus said this. He said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." The only light that can overcome the darkness is Jesus himself. It's not an equal match. The light of Jesus isn't equal to darkness. He doesn't say that his light is equal to the darkness of this world. He says that he overcomes the darkness, that he overwhelms it, that he chases it away, and he ultimately defeats it. It's his gift to us when we follow after him, that we'll never walk in darkness again. You know, what is it about lights and candles that makes Christmas so special? It's just such a sensory experience, isn't it? One of our holiday traditions is just to simply go on drives or walks and look at the Christmas lights. You know, maybe it's yours too. There is something attractive about light. It draws us to it, especially when it's dark. So just a few days ago, this past Thursday, the 21st, was the darkest day of the year. You probably knew that. We experienced the shortest amount of daylight this last Thursday. And now, you know, from this day forward, from this past Thursday forward, now every day forward is just a little bit brighter, a little more daylight to it. It's still winter. In fact, the worst is probably still to come. But this is what we celebrate at Christmas, that into the darkness of humanity, God sent his light. And even though we don't fully see it yet, the days are getting longer and the light is getting brighter. Why? Because Jesus has come, the light that overcomes the darkness. And Jesus wants to bring his light into all of the darkness in your world. He came to every part of our world, and he's able to come to every part of our world. Every discouragement, every pain, every heartache, every doubt, every fear, everything that isn't right. He wants to bring his light that leads to life. And all it takes, he said, is simply following after him. We don't need to generate our own light in order to push back the darkness. Ours isn't strong enough anyway. We simply follow after his light, and we invite it to fill our lives. So we're going to close our service with some candlelight singing. And all of you, I hope, have a candle in hand. And some of the kids have little battery-operated candles, because we're all about safety, especially when it comes to fire in our church, right? So we're going to have some candlelight singing, and let me just give you a few instructions. So we've got 2 ushers that are going to make their way starting at the front and then work their way to the back, and they're going to light the candle right closest to them. So if you're sitting on the aisle, you have a very big responsibility of getting your candle lit. Then we're going to pass that flame down the aisles. So here's what you do. If you've got a candle that's lit, hold it straight up and down. Don't tilt it. Hold it straight up and down. Person beside you that wants to light off your candle, they hold theirs at an angle. Then they hold it straight up and down the row it goes. Good? I know, you've got it all good. Okay, then our praise team is going to come up and we're going to start some candlelight carol singing. Why don't you stand and we'll begin to light all of the candles throughout the house, and then we can turn the house lights off. It looks like everything is going the way that it's supposed to go, so that's great. Now, as we're singing, and as you're holding the candle in your hand, and you're seeing all of the light shining in the room, remember that Jesus came to be your light. Jesus came to be the light in your darkness. Let's sing together.
Holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, light divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, light divine. Oh, night divine. Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains we shall break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. resurrected Jesus, born to set thy people free. From our fears and sins, release us, let us find our rest in thee. Israel's strength and consolation, hope of all the earth thou art, dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart. On thy people to deliver, born a child and yet a king, born to reign in us forever. Now thy gracious kingdom bring. By thine own eternal Spirit, rule in all our hearts alone. By thine all-sufficient hand, raise us to thy glorious throne.
And what candlelight service wouldn't be complete without Silent Night? So let's sing that.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds look at thy sight, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Jesus, Lord, at thy
Let's sing the
birth.
last verse, just a cappella, and maybe really dim the stage lights down, and let's just experience the candlelight that we have going on. All right.
Silent night, holy night, wondrous star, let thy light with the angels let us sing. Alleluia to our King. Christ the Savior is born.
I'll get you to extinguish your candle. Just do it carefully. Put your hand in front of it so you're not blowing wax on the back of the person that's in front of you. But Merry Christmas. May the light of God, through his Son Jesus, permeate all of the things that you do. I pray that you celebrate well, that it's a joyous Christmas. No matter what your plans are, from big to small, that you would celebrate well, that you'd have a really fun holiday. But in the midst of all of that, you would realize why you're having a really good holiday. And that's because of what Jesus has done for us. May the light of God permeate into all of the darkness of your lives. God bless you. You can extinguish your candles. There's going to be boxes at the back. You can take the candle home if you want, but leave us the holder. Those are really valuable. Kids, you got a little battery-operated one. You are free to take those home. Our little gift to you. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas Eve. We'll see you back on New Year's Eve day.